In a Noahide society, if a person intentionally transgresses one of the 7 Noahide laws, the Noahide court is obligated to administer the death penalty. But what if there weren't any witnesses? What if the only evidence is circumstantial, like fingerprints or DNA? Is the court still obligated to administer the death penalty in these cases? In this video, we look at the Noahide requirement to have an eyewitness. We will look at where it is derived in the Bible and the implications that follow. As a review, it is incumbent upon all of humanity to follow the 7 Noahide laws as God dictated them to Moses at Mount Sinai. In a society that accepts these divine laws upon themselves, the punishment for one who intentionally transgresses one of these laws is death. In other videos, we went over where this is derived and why. We've also talked about how each case must have a Noahide judge and the requirements that this Noahide judge must meet. But for a court to be obligated to administer the death penalty, there must be a valid eyewitness. This is derived from Genesis 9 verse 5, where God is demanding accountability from murderers. God says, "And the blood of your lives I will require. From the hand of every animal will I require it. And from the hand of man, from the hand of every man his brother, I will demand the life of man." In another video, we covered that the phrase, "and the blood of your lives I will require," teaches that even one judge is sufficient for a capital court case. The phrase doesn't specify needing a panel of judges to punish. God here is requiring accountability, and one judge is sufficient. Also, this requiring is demanded in the singular. I will require. We also covered that the phrase, "from the hand of every animal," teaches that the transgressor does not require a mid-act warning. As an animal does not give legal warning before it kills, so too a Noahide court does not need to demand a legal warning before it kills. The next relevant phrase is, "I will require it, and from the hand of man." Here, the verse continues the same language of God requiring that we saw earlier used in reference to one judge, but now he says that the requirement can come from the hand of man. The sages understand this as teaching that in Noahide capital court cases, the testimony of only one eyewitness is required to put somebody to death, unlike the 2-witness standard that is used in Jewish capital court cases. For non-Jews, he does not make any similar specification. The verse to non-Jews does not emphasize more than one witness. But it does still say, "from the hand of man," so for a court to be obligated, it must have one eyewitness. The next phrase, "from the hand of each man," teaches that the witness and the judge must be men, not women. The verse uses the Hebrew word ish, which means man, as in males, instead of the broader term Adam, which is usually used in reference to all of mankind. So the sages derive from this that the witness and the judge must be men. But let's now talk about the implications of what we have learned. We here see that the obligation to administer capital punishment in Noahide capital court cases must be established through the proper Torah-defined way. It must be from a valid Noahide court which has a valid Noahide judge and a valid Noahide eyewitness. Because God wants us to perform fair justice, justice aligned only with the truth, the testimony from this witness must be investigated with great care and detail by the judge. It must be determined whether the testimony is truthful. Therefore, if there is no such valid eyewitness, or if this eyewitness's testimony is not upheld, or it's not sufficient under examination, then the court is permitted to release the accused person without conviction and without punishment if it so decides. In this case, it is not obligated to administer the death penalty, because God requires it from the hand of man, and if this hand of man is found lacking, then God does not require it. In any case though, if there are no valid eyewitnesses, or if there's only circumstantial evidence, then the authorized Noahide court still has the authority to accept this evidence and use it to determine if the person is guilty. If the person is found to be guilty, then the court can give any punishment it so sees fit, even capital punishment. But just like how a court is encouraged to have more than one judge in a case, so too, the court is encouraged to have more than one witness in the case. Remember, the goal is truth. And when we're talking about capital punishment, always keep in mind, first we're talking about Noahide societies, where the majority believe in the one true God and the majority accept upon themselves the 7 Noahide commandments as divine commandments given from God. Second, remember that the purpose of biblical justice is to save. Judging society is synonymous to saving society. Third, the Noahide court is obligated to educate the populace. all of the populace will have a good knowledge of God and of the Noahide laws. Fourth, the court is obligated to set up safeguards to make it extremely difficult to transgress any one of the 7 Noahide laws. Capital punishment in a Noahide framework is not capital punishment anywhere else. To summarize, we learned that Noahide courts are only obligated to administer the death penalty when there is a valid Noahide eyewitness. God requires the life of the transgressor to come from the hand of man. He does not need 2 or 3 men, just one, although of course it's encouraged to have more than one. On this channel we delve into all the Noahide laws, which are the laws of the future, so subscribe and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos. Thank you, as always, for watching.